With her reaction, I want to bring in former Deputy Prime Minister Sheila Copps. Sheila, good morning. Appreciate you being with us. So at long last, a month after this whole scandal broke, we heard from the Prime Minister this morning. He stopped short of giving an apology. He said it was an erosion of trust. There was a communication problem. What did you hear from the PM today?
Well, I was glad he didn't apologize because, as he clearly pointed out, he was doing his job. If there is a lapse, I think it's the fact that for a month we've had one side of the story, the she said, and we didn't get the he said until yesterday and today. So I think he may staunch the bleeding, but there's no doubt that the public airing of this internal disagreement has done damage to the Liberal brand.
Do you think then that Jody Wilson-Raybould and Dr. Jane Philpott can remain in caucus?
Well, I've been very clear. In my perspective, when you say you have no confidence in the government includes the caucus and the cabinet and the prime minister. And I think if they're ethical women, and I believe they are, they should simply step aside, step out of the caucus. That doesn't mean they can't remain in the party. If Jody Wilson-Raybould wants to launch a leadership bid, as her father suggested a couple of weeks ago, she can do that from the comfort of a seat as an independent. But I think it makes no sense to stay in caucus when you've told the country you don't believe in your leader and then asked to run in the next election. As a Liberal, it's not logical.
But can't you, though, still believe in the party principles, even if you don't support the leader? You can still work at a place, but not like the boss?
Well, no, I think there's a difference. There's the caucus is the government. I think they can remain in the party, and if they want to start a movement to get rid of the leader, that happens all the time in political parties, and that's very legitimate. I think they can remain in the party. They cannot remain in the caucus because the caucus is part of the government. And Dr. Jane Philpott issued a very stern suggestion this week that she has no faith in the government. So if you don't have confidence in the government, why would you remain in the government? That's the part that's not logical.
I know that we know that you have been critical of Jody Wilson-Raybould, saying that she lacked experience. What do you mean by that?
Well, when she said that she felt pressure, and then I think Gerald Butts said yesterday there were a total of, I think, 4 contacts a month over 4 months, or 2 contacts a month. Normally, when you get into the pressure cooker of the cabinet on any issue, I know on the copyright, when we were doing it, we had 89 registered lobbyists. I took 150 minimum meetings, and I was getting pressured left, right, and center on a legislative issue. Admittedly not a judicial issue, but I think the law permits her to make a decision on a deferred prosecution agreement after speaking to colleagues. And she said from the beginning, not only did she not involve them, she made her decision before she had her meeting with the Prime Minister. And then she unilaterally decided that she would not send justice opinions to the Privy Council office at the centre because she was operating as a sole agent. And I don't think an Attorney General operates as a sole agent. They are supposed to take input, and she obviously refused.
So what do you think, then, is the decision to be made by Canadians at this point? We've heard from Jody Wilson-Raybould. We've heard from Gerald Butts. We've heard from the Prime Minister. Now Canadians have what ahead of them to consider? Who they believe? Is it simply a matter of perception?
No, I think it's clear that they both saw things differently, but it's also clear, and I did say this in a column that I write for the Hill Times, I think you have to ask Jody Wilson-Raybould the question, if there had been 9,000 Indigenous jobs at stake, would she have at least heard her colleagues out? And I think that that's a legitimate question to ask her. And I don't understand from the beginning how she could basically go to her boss and accuse him of partisanship when he's trying to protect jobs in the country. The other issue that's playing is there's a lot of Quebec bashing going on with certain Conservatives talking about the Liberal Party, and you wouldn't believe the emails and tweets that I've received all about negative Quebec stuff. Well, most of the jobs of SNC-Lavalin are actually outside Quebec.
I want to get one last quick thought from you, and that is on the way Andrew Scheer has been managing, I'll put it that way, this crisis, and the way he has been so quick to call for the Prime Minister to resign. He spoke before, the Prime Minister spoke today. I know it's not your party, but what do you think of the way he's dealing with this?
Well, I think he got ahead of himself. As one of his colleagues said on air, when the Prime Minister is shooting himself in the foot and his party in the foot, you don't need to jump ahead to get shot yourself. And what he should have done, if he believed on the resignation piece, was had somebody else say it. Because now that he's said it, where else is there to go? But I think the other thing is Canadians generally, this has gone on for a month. Nobody is going to know the inner workings of the cabinet, the parliament, the caucus, except the players there. And most Canadians are saying, look, let's get on to governing the country again. The economy is having a bit of a problem. There are issues with NAFTA. There are issues with the Chinese. Let's get back to the business at hand and not the internal she said, he said of the Liberal Party.
Yeah, that may not be that easy at this point. Sheila Copps, so glad you could join us this morning. Appreciate it.